overdid some things at the gym. So that was Tuesday. That was Tuesday, and I struggled a bit Wednesday, and I went to work, and so I just decided to. So I came back. I got huddled up, and I watched a couple of Black Mirror. So.
All right.
Okay. I'm just gonna go straight into this. We'll figure out the running order as we go along.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that uses uses a title as an excuse to watch more films in both Netflix and cinema. We watch usually three films in cinema each week, 3 films on Netflix or Netflix and Friends each week, and we rate them all out of 4. At the end of the day, we take
out of 5.
Out of 5. Good Lord, I am tired. I'm tired. We rate them out of 5, and at the end of the day, we take a what's that word? Average, and we'll figure out who's won this week. Now you've heard him already. That is Sean.
Hello there.
Sean on the Isle of Wight, and beside Sean is Sharon.
Hello.
Weirdly enough, also on the Isle of Wight. My name is Tosin. I'm up in the Midlands, but you guys, we're recording this in the week that the Isle of Wight Festival has started.
Yeah.
Yes, traffic chaos.
Traffic chaos indeed.
It's
okay. It's okay.
We don't mind.
We're used to it.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, or for those of you who are listening, who haven't been to the Isle of Wight, or haven't lived on the Isle of Wight, or have only ever been to the Isle of Wight Festival, this is what a local thinks about the Isle of Wight Festival. Traffic chaos! Oh my God, all these people coming here and trampling in our fields.
That's pretty much it. We weren't anywhere near the festival zone today, so we were largely sort of passed us by. But it's only when you hit the sort of environs of Newport that you see like the traffic that normally takes you 5 minutes to a journey now takes you half an hour. So, but it's once a year. You let them come, let them enjoy it, let them have a splash about in the mud and have a good time.
So you guys weren't tempted to go into the festival this year yourselves?
No.
No.
I can hear it from my house, and I expect you to hear it.
I can.
Here,
yeah, sometimes. Yeah, it depends. Yeah. The thing is, it's not really anybody I want to see. It's really expensive, and for me, most of the best sort of gigs I've been to have been little small venues.
Yes, I like small gigs.
And unless, generally, with all the festivals, the times I have gone, I've been lucky either to get someone's given me a band or I've managed, but I wouldn't fork out to go because the music I think gets dissipated. Especially on the main stage, So you want
to get either close when you're going to get in a scrum, or you
best venues, 30 people, fags and booze. The band about a foot in front of you, everybody jumping around having fun.
A couple of years I went to what's called the Freeloader Festival, which is basically it used to be the stage was angled in such a way that if you walked down the old riverside track, the other side of the festival site, you could actually see the stage
cool.
and hear the music really well. But then they've worked out that there's like 5,000 people over on the other side of the river. So they actually changed the position of the stage and where the speakers are, so you don't get as good an experience. But a couple of times I went to the Freeloader Festival, which is basically you just sit on the riverside and watch the festival from the free seats.
Oh yeah, I had a friend who was running an activity centre there, and they used to have a lot of people just sort of trudging through when that happened. They were really happy when they changed the thing of the stage. But I'll tell you what, with what we're talking about this, Visit Isle of Wight is never going to sponsor this podcast, are they? We're saying, don't come to the Isle of Wight Festival. Keep our roads free. Go to a small little pub and have 30 people in there. That's real music.
I'm sure John Giddens will forgive us.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
Okay, cool. But how have you guys been doing otherwise?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, and that's part. Yeah, I had a little bit. I overdid some exercising on Tuesday, so I suffered a bit on Wednesday. But it was quite nice in a way because it's one of the few things when I got in, I just huddled up on.
Yeah, you could
got in me tracky bottoms and tracksuit and a little duvet and had a duvet on the couch,
Yeah.
watching stuff. So it was cool.
Well, Sean, 2 things. Thank you for remaining on message. Yes, that is one of the things Netflix can help you with. And also, I'll say that is the kind of incapacitation I can deal with. Somebody lying down on the couch because you've been to the gym too. That is good. That's good going.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit old these days I thought I'd overperform. I thought I was still 21 and could do things, Little did I know.
Yeah. Well, I had my first incident of road rage today.
What, you got road rage?
Yeah, I got someone road raging at me.
Oh, right,
no.
okay. Oh,
Yeah, he nearly killed himself. It's yeah, because I was pulling out of when you pull out onto like a dual carriageway and you have to go across you have to go across the lane that well, it's not really a dual carriage, it's one of these sort of like country lanes, but it still has a national speed limit. But you have to go across the lane that's going in the opposite direction you want to go to first before you go into the lane that goes in the direction you want to go to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know it. I know it.
And there was someone who was coming out and he pulled into the wrong lane in front of me. So he sort of blocked my view while he pulled across me. So I couldn't see anything that was happening behind him. When I turned right, all of a sudden there's this car right beside me in all of my mirrors. So yeah, so I slowed down, like, oh my God, what happened? And then this guy sort of squeezes past me. And then I'm trying to sort of like, I'm kind of, oh, sorry about that, I couldn't see you. Try to drive off. And in the middle of this road, this is like a 60 mile per hour road. He sort of starts driving in front of me to stop me going anywhere and slows his car down to pretty much to a halt. So I'm like, okay, this guy wants to come out and he wants to have a fight. So I pretty much stopped the car, switch off the radio, roll out the window, and he comes down and just starts abusing me and everything like that. And
how awful.
Yeah, he starts abusing me and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry I couldn't see you. The other car drove wrong and was in the way, so I couldn't see you. But at least, my thing was like, hey, good thing I slowed down in time, so we didn't hit each other, we didn't have anything like that. But he starts yelling at me and all that kind of stuff, and I just look at him, I'm like, okay, so yeah, what do you want to do about it? At the moment, you've stopped in the middle of the road. This road is quite narrow. There's a queue building up behind us. You are being an idiot right now. Is what I'm thinking, but not saying. And so he turns around and walks around, and he nearly gets like inches from his nose because he's not looking. Ironically enough, he's not looking where he's going. He turns around walking on this thing, and one of these massive trailers goes inches from his nose. I mean, honestly.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah, and I'm just
really.
One of those things where you're just kind of like, oh, good dude, you have just been sent to make my day worse, haven't you? So I'm just going back home. I'm just kind of like, wow, okay, this is a crazy day. So I'm actually quite happy to be talking to you guys right now.
Bit of sanity. Good.
Yeah,
wow.
Sanity.
Well, yeah, but
as close as it gets.
Yeah, I'll take this insanity over some guy who's trying to yell at me on the road.
Yeah, not nice.
For not looking where I'm going, and then therefore not looking where he's going and nearly killing himself. So I'll take this. I will take this. All right. But cool. Okay. Anyway, we should probably get into talking about some films.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we should.
Yes, this is a film. This was a week in which there is not much out new in cinema. I think we have one film that I think is the new one, the general release. And I think, Sean, you managed to see a preview at the cinema, a film that is going to be released maybe next week or in a couple of weeks.
Next week, yeah. Next Wednesday it's released.
Oh, okay. That's why I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
Next Wednesday it's released.
Yeah,
it was an unlimited screening. One of the cards. So.
Yes.
One of those things.
So yeah.
Because
one of those things.
Yeah, sometimes people sort of ask us on the podcast, like, how come we get to see so many films? And it's because we all have some form or another of some unlimited cinema card.
A loyalty card, yeah.
Yes. So we just go there, and I think, Sean, sometimes you just show up and go, what's on next? Yeah, I'll go see that.
I do. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so, okay, we'll get onto that. But first of all, we're going to kick off with a film called Late Night. This is a film in cinemas at the moment, starring Emma Thompson and Mindy Kaling, and also written by Mindy Kaling. And Sharon, I'll let you take this away and just give us a little bit of a brief synopsis of what this film's about.
Yeah, this is about an American television host played by Emma Thompson. She's a host of a late night talk show. So if anyone's familiar with things like Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, James Corden, Seth Meyers, they're these people whose shows basically don't start much before 10 o'clock at night, and then they run right through to like 2 a.m. or something. But they are like late night talk shows, and it's an American phenomenon that's gone back for days.
They're pretty
of like
much like American versions of Graham Norton and Jonathan Ross.
Yeah, but just like after midnight. A lot of them are quite late shows, and they specialise in like comedy and interviews, and they're normally the hosts are normally stand-up comedians, so that's where they sort of come, their background generally.
Yeah.
And so this is a film about a woman late-night television host, that isn't one currently, and how she's been in the post for 20-odd years. She's like a national institution. But the show has started to become a little bit stale, and she's been told, like, we're going to cancel you. The ratings are falling. You're not getting the vibe anymore. People just don't like you that much, so we're going to cancel you. So she suddenly feels, this spur to change things up a bit. And one of those things she does is to employ a brand new writer, because there's no women on the team. There's no one of ethnic diversity on the team. They're all sort of like white men who do the writing for her. And it's become very sort of samey over the last few years. And so she employs this young, vibrant lady, Molly, played by Mindy Kaling, who she wants to bring on the team to shake things up a bit, and she does just that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Now, I quite enjoyed this film. I thought this film was quite cool because, I mean, the pedigree that it has, number one, it's got Emma Thompson in it. And quite frankly, anything the woman's in is almost immediately awesome just because she's in it. And I think I loved the way she was playing the character, even that you could see from the trailers. You get to find a little bit about her home life. She's married to a character played by John Lithgow, and their relationship is the way that this sort of film is. The second you go into her home life, I was like, wow, this is different. You don't really get to see this, and this film pretty much turns into a romantic comedy between the two women.
Yes.
Pretty much, it turns to a romantic comedy.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, between two women.
You call it a bromance, but I don't know what the female version of a bromance is.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I wonder if we could think of a name for that. We could start something, couldn't we? Bromance, what about, I don't know.
For the girls.
I don't know.
I was thinking fromance, but that sounds way too much like cheese.
Cheese,
yes,
yeah.
and everything else sounds a bit just like weird.
Yeah, it's weird, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Now this is a good thing.
That's food for thought, isn't it? That's food for thought.
Anybody listening, if you want to get in touch with us on Facebook or on Twitter and send us an idea for what the female version of bromance is, we would love to hear it. I guess these are the kind of things that the Me Too movement is bringing up. We're going to bring a film about two women who have a friendship, and it follows all the sort of cues of a romantic comedy, but it's about two women who are in a platonic friendship. That is an interesting one. What would you?
So they're good. So they're actually in this. So I mean, it's funny. I didn't really know much about this, but I was assuming that they would fall out. It was like a.
Well, they are chalk and cheese, but
do they actually get on? They hit off with each other, or is there any tension?
There is tension.
There is tension.
Yeah, but it sort of works the way it works for them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there is tension, and there is like a crisis and a bit of a denouement. But then it does, but it is effectively the key relationship in the drama is between the two women.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, but Sean, I told you, think about everything that happens in a romantic comedy. When they meet, do they ever like each other?
No, never.
Does,
not normally, anyway.
Okay,
sometimes there's like I don't know. I don't know really. I'm not hugely a big connoisseur of romancy movies.
Okay.
But
I'll give you the basic lowdown of every romantic comedy that there ever is. They meet, they don't like each other. Then through a while, they actually get to the point where they go, you know what, you're not that bad. I kind of like you. They get to like each other. They get together. Things are going well for a while. Things seem to be on the up. Then something happens. Hello?
Oh yeah, are you okay?
Yeah. I'm okay.
You still there?
I'm still here. Are you on Wi-Fi or are you on using your data?
No, I'm on Wi-Fi.
Okay, cool.
Well,
okay.
I hope I am. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm on Wi-Fi. Yeah.
All right.
I think that was probably something to do with me.
What, did somebody just call you?
Yes, they did.
Oh my word!
Unusual.
Okay. So we're recording this thing over phone, and Sean tends to have this whole. Just before we started recording, Sean was complaining that nobody ever calls him. And look at this.
That's fatal, isn't it? That's fatal. That's
fatal. Look at this. All right. Anyway,
sorry
for the interruption. I was in the midst of breaking down every single romantic comedy. They don't like each other, then they get to like each other, then things go well for a while, then something happens, and then it throws a spanner in the works, and it looks as if, oh my God, this is going to be the end of our relationship. And then they overcome it, and then there's a rush to an airport. One person professes undying love to the other person, they get back together again, and then there's a wedding. But
Cool. I tell you what. I know it wasn't a movie, but something I did watch. And it was going back. Was that BBC series of Pride and Prejudice?
Oh, right, yes.
Is that like a romance? So is that like the archetypical one? Because they don't like each other, do they? Mr.
No,
That's
your classic, because that's
your
where
classic.
it started.
I think that is actually
the
your
fact
classic
that they
romantic comedy.
disliked each other on sight.
That's the start of it.
Yeah.
There
No,
you go.
I think actually it goes back further. I think Shakespeare did it.
Yes, he did the whole chalk and cheese, but
Yeah,
opposites attract and all that.
Much Ado About Nothing is a total romantic
P&P
comedy.
is a good place to start.
And that the film version of that's got Emma Thompson, isn't it?
No, that's
Sense and Sensibility.
No. I mean, what you said, Much Ado About Nothing.
Yes, it
Much
does.
to do about nothing. She was
That's
in that. Yes,
with
her
that
ex,
one with
Kenneth Branagh.
and you had Denzel Washington in that as well.
Yes, he
Denzel-
was.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's a movie. See, I have seen that, so that was
And
quite good. I
Keanu
quite enjoyed
Reeves
that one.
was in
Keanu
that as
Reeves,
well.
yeah,
As
he's
Don
a baddie,
John.
isn't he?
Yeah, he was Don John.
Yeah.
Don
Okay,
John, that's a-
but okay, cool.
Okay, sorry, we digress.
We
We digress.
Actually.
Getting back to Late Night, but actually, I quite like this film. I liked some of the things I had to say because it's like Mindy Kaling. I know you say Kaling, I say Kaling. Let's call the whole thing off.
Yeah.
But it's because she's actually been in that position where she's been the only woman writer, one of the only women writers on a comedy show. So she was a writer on the U.S. Office and all that, and so I think she's writing from experience of what's gone through. And when you talk about what it's like for a woman in that sort of like, there's some good observations about it, but I like the fact that it doesn't get bogged down in that, and just it's happy to sort of tell its story, and it has a little bit of a sort of wish fulfillment ending. And I think even the fact that it has a female late night talk show host, that's a bit like Sharon, you said earlier that there isn't really one. It's a bit of wish fulfillment, but I think it's kind of like, there's a bit of this film in which it kind of goes, hey, look, people, this could be the way forward. This could be the way forward. It doesn't all have to be.
Yes.
It doesn't have to all be white men who are in there. So I really, really enjoyed the film. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I thought there was some. I wasn't so keen on the fact that it was a bit sweary. I mean, that's one of my bugbears in lots of films.
Yeah.
But it was quite sweary. But if you get past that, it was like they had some interesting things to say.
She's
And
generally
so
pretty
it
good,
was-
Emma Thompson.
Yeah, I thought everyone in it was well played. Yeah, some of the writers, because she can't remember their names, they just give them she gives them numbers. She goes around the table and says like, you're number one, you're number two, and then she goes round, and because when you're looking at them, you're thinking I don't know their names either, because.
It's like who?
Because they introduce them with their different names, and they're all just like, they're all too similar.
Yeah.
So
It's like
That
who?
sounds
it made
pretty cool.
sense.
Who exactly are you? No, but it's quite cool. I mean, and there was one particular moment where I had to watch through my fingers because there's a bit where, because she used to be a stand-up comedian and she hasn't done stand-up for a while, and she goes back on stage, and I think the first sort of 3 minutes of her being on stage after she hasn't been on stage for a while, there are some of the most cringe-worthy bits of film I think I've ever seen. I actually had
Yes,
to.
because you feel like the audience, because they're all looking at her and they're looking at each other going, what's going on here? And when you feel the same way, you're thinking, this is going to go horribly wrong.
I had to hide my head in my jacket. I really had to. I couldn't watch it. I really couldn't watch it. But I think it's quite cool. It's I'll give it a 3 out of 5. But it's a good 3. But I think there's some things I didn't quite like about it. Like, I didn't think they needed to bring a romance into the film. The film didn't need it. And I think it lessened it a little bit, having sort of like, romantic sort of leanings for Mindy Kaling's character, Molly. But I'll give it a 3 out of 5. I don't know about you, Sharon.
No, I agree. I was thinking, yes, it's a 3 for me. I'd say it's solid 3. I mean, it's all well done.
It's a very solid 3.
It's a 3. It's a 3.
All right, cool.
Cool.
So
I might catch up with it.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
Tonight until it comes. Yeah, if you recommend it, then I might. If it's because there's not a lot else on, I might probably check it out.
All right, cool. So, Sean, we're now going to go over to Netflix. So we started the first round, ding, 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 with Late Night. We're going to go over to Netflix, and you let's see. You said that you went the other day after you'd overdone it at the gym. You came back home, felt sorry for yourself on the couch, and you watched some Black Mirror. But we are planning to do, when you finish watching Black Mirror, we are planning to sit down and go through a Black Mirror special where we talk about every episode in all now 5 seasons. And for those people who can be bothered to put themselves through that, Sharon, we decided that, seeing as you haven't seen all the, we will spare you this.
Yes.
We will spare you. We'll spare
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are nothing if not magnanimous. And even though this week was supposed to be a fallow week where we had a week off, we all kind of thought, no, we're still up for it. But I think in the next time when we're supposed to have a fallow week, Sean and I, we can do the Black Mirror special and release it in that week.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and that way, and Sharon doesn't have to listen to it or us.
Okay, that sounds good.
But,
that sounds good.
But something else you watched this week when you were in your couch on Netflix was I Am Mother.
I Am Mother. Yeah, this is a latest release, and it's a Netflix release as well. So an actual Netflix movie. Yeah, it's pretty. This the story is it's like there's a teenage girl. She's raised by like a robot mother, like a droid.
Yeah.
And so, as far as anybody's aware, the world is just decimated. It's been destroyed. You know, they're the last. And it starts off, there's like the embryos, and the mother's really good, and she gives her exams and shows her how to do things. And it starts off, I mean, this isn't really spoiled, growing up, you know, and doing all things like dance and music and learning things and all that. And then there's sort of something goes on, and another sort of human turns up, and then there's a lot of confusion on both sides. That the girl gets really, really confused about what's going on. Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's basically the premise, really. So
yeah, I actually watched this.
You've seen it?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Oh man! Oh, brilliant! Oh, I'm so chuffed that you saw that as well.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
It sounds like something it's probably I would watch as well. I haven't seen it, but it does sound like something I would normally watch.
Yeah, no, sure.
Yeah,
Sharon,
definitely.
I don't sometimes you talk about things where you've spoken about anthologies and things like sound like, you know, when you have an Asimov anthology of books and you have like all these books that posit really interesting sci-fi concepts. And this film is like that. I think it's an original story. I don't think it comes from any story or anything like that. But this film is a bit like that. But there's elements of I Am Legend, the book in it. There's elements of Terminator in it and all that kind of stuff. And I really, really like this film. I
enjoyed. Yeah,
I really enjoyed this film. I mean, I think it's quite a clever film, and from the word go, you know it's a clever film. It comes up. It starts off with this. It starts off after whatever event has happened, and it just has captions on screen to sort of hold your hand and let you know what's going on. And one of those captions it's like I read the caption and I went, hang on a second, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Oh no, carry on with the film. But I just kept playing in my head. I was like, but that doesn't really make much sense. I eventually ignored it, and I thought maybe I read the caption wrong. I have to go back and have a look at the caption and figure things out after I finish watching the film. But then as the film carries on, you sort of forget about that, and then it brings it back and you realize that that's what it actually said. That's what happened. And I was like, oh, that is so clever. And obviously I can't tell you what it is because that's a spoiler.
No. It will just go.
But I mean, the droid is it's
awesome.
like a mother, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's, you know, the droid is a mother, like a mother. You know, sort of caring. You know, but then when this thing happens, you know, you start to question things. It's one of those ones. It's a thinking one, and you start to question things. And it's worth a deeper look. Yeah. I'm tempted to go because I'm sure there's some other messages on a second.
Watch it again. Oh, I'll have to.
Second. Yeah, I think you'd like it.
I need to check this out. Yeah.
I think you'd like it. You know, there was a couple of moments which I was like, you know, it can be. I think it could get confusing.
Yes.
You know, but that's part of the joy of it. I think because then you think,
you have
right,
to unravel
okay,
what's
this is
going
you have to
on.
unravel. You have to look deeper into it. Yeah, it's a pretty good movie.
I would say that, and I think it's at the beginning it's a bit of a slow burn, and I'm usually a fan, and I think I've said this before, that of when you're going to watch a film, that you should get to the point. So if you watch a trailer for a film, the film shouldn't take too long to get to the point that the trailer ends. If you get what I mean. So like, so if I watch a trailer and I get, okay, this is what I understand what this film was about. You shouldn't spend like, you know, the first half hour of the film reliving the trailer, so to say. before you actually give me something that's new. But this film, I actually thought, even though I got the basic idea from the trailer, I knew that another woman shows up at some point to break into this house or break into this world of this robot who's called Mother and the girl who's only ever called Daughter in the film. I knew all that, but I actually really enjoyed seeing all the steps of building this thing up. Like, it never once made me think, oh, I know this is going to happen. I know this is going to happen. Like the bit at the beginning, because it starts off with Mother waking up, the robot Mother waking up and taking an embryo and doing it, and then you see this whole sequence where she's caring for this child as the child is growing up, and as the child's asking, why am I the only one? And she's like, no, a mother needs time to learn before a mother can bring something. And I love the whole aesthetic of this film. I love the way they built the whole thing up, and I was with it all the way through. Even though there were some things which I think I guessed, I was like, well, this is probably going to happen. It plays this game. I think, Sean, you were saying about where it might get a little bit complicated, but it's where it plays with what you know, and is this actually what's happening? Who's telling the truth? Is the robot telling the truth? Yeah. Is the new arrival telling the truth? And you're left in the position of the girl in the film trying to figure out.
That's it. And she's of that age where she's of the age where it's like what's right, what's wrong, and certain things happen, and there's like a few bits that sort of throw you the way, and you think, oh. Bad, good, what's so yeah. And it kind of ends up in a place where you're looking at the film and you're kind of going, so who's right? That's it. Yeah.
You're like, you're almost not sure. Well, I wasn't anyway. I was not sure who it was. I was whose side I was on. I was like,
No, I know. I was the same, Tosin. I was the same.
I was like,
because you're sort of on both sides at one time. Because there are moments when you think, oh, you nasty, nasty thing. Yeah. But then there's maybe a reason behind it, and then you think the other one. Yeah. You're thinking, oh, that's pretty nasty as well. Yeah. I'm going to take the side of the other one now. Oh no, I'm not. I'm going to take the side of that one.
Yeah. You saw what you're going.
You're switching sides.
Yeah.
You're like, if I was that character, I would do this. If I was that character, I would do this. If I was that character, I would do this. Yeah. And it just keeps flipping and flopping throughout the whole film. So I love. I like films that make you think, but I think that this did it really well. I think it's a coup for Netflix. It's a second Australian film in a week that we've in 2 weeks. The second Australian film that we've watched and gone great, awesome. Even though everybody has American accents, it's an Australian film, and and for me, I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, I love the fact that this film exists. If this is why Netflix is here, good, great. And this kind of film is the kind of reason why I think you shouldn't exclude Netflix films from Oscars, because I don't think that this would have come out in a cinema. I think it's too singular. It's too singular.
It is
they would have lost too much money.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, there's got to be room for sort of those independent oddball films, isn't there?
Yeah,
it has really.
Yeah, and we haven't even. I think it's interesting that we've spoken this long about the film. We haven't even said anybody who's in it, because.
No,
doesn't really matter by the sounds of it.
There's essentially
it doesn't really matter, does it? Really,
there's pretty much three people in this whole film.
Yeah. There is only three, I think.
Yeah, there's only three.
If you think about it.
Yeah,
and
and the only person you would know is Hilary Swank. But
it's Hilary Swank, I liked her. She was Million Dollar Baby, which
Boys Don't Cry.
It's one of my top of films. That is.
Yeah,
I really liked that. Anyway, Hilary Swank. So she's about the only one you would know, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Oh, and Rose Byrne. Rose Byrne does the voice of Mother, and she does really, really well.
Yeah.
She does awesome with the voice of Mother.
She does. I thought it was a great film, but I'm only going to give it a 3 because it wasn't like I wasn't like. But that might have been because I was, not feeling it. So but I mean, it is a great film, and it is a super, super solid 3, definitely, and it's well worth a watch. So. Good. Definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
So,
ooh, Sean, you're mean today.
I am mean today. Yeah, I'm feeling mean. I mean, I'm just trying to think what did you think of the effects in it? The CGI, the sort of bits, the outside bits. What did you think of that?
The outside bits.
You know?
There was one bit. There's a bit where you go to a seashore, where that was the bit that I kind of went, ooh, that looks a bit fake, but
yeah. See, that was the one thing I had. I didn't think some of the outside scenes I thought were a little bit. That's probably for me. You know, it was really noticeable.
Yeah,
that CGI, I think, but that does not.
I think
it doesn't really detract from the film.
Yeah, the robots I absolutely loved. I loved the design of the robots. I love the way they put everything together. I love the thought that they bring. Like, if you're going to build a robot,
I like it.
Like, if you're going to build a robot that's going to raise a child, and the idea that the things keep popping up, there you go, oh my god, that's a genius idea. Yeah. That's a genius idea.
And when it moves fast, you don't think it can move fast.
Yeah,
but when it does, it moves fast.
It has an element of Terminator, of the T-1000 in Terminator 2 about it. Yeah. But it's But I apart from that, I understand when they're trying to do a vista, the vista's effects are the ones that sort of let it down. But apart from that,
they let it down a little
the
bit.
creature effect, the robot effects, loved them. Thought they were brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So that's I Am Mother. We can recommend that. Go watch that. Netflix, once again, coming out swinging. And now we go back to cinemas. And this is the film that, Sean, only you have seen, because you diligently go to all your unlimited screenings when they give you a chance to see it.
Not necessarily all of them, but I do try to get to them.
I tend to delete the emails, so I don't tend to know about them. I tend to go, oh, too many emails, delete.
I mean, I saw some of the ones I saw.
I missed so many things.
I mean, the Green Book was an unlimited one.
Yes.
That was a surprise one, because sometimes they have surprise showings.
Surprise ones, yeah.
Like The Incredibles 2 was a surprise one.
The Incredibles 2, that was the best surprise one.
That was the best surprise one of all.
That would worry me if I
going,
turned up and I'd be like, oh, no.
Yeah, I know. That was one. I think there was.
I've never been to a surprise
because you saw the surprise one as well, didn't you, Tosin?
Yes, when it was Incredibles 2, I saw that one, yeah.
They went, ooh, ooh.
Everybody, when it came up and said you're about to see The Incredibles 2, everybody was like, oh!
Yeah, I know, it's cool. So.
And then 2 people left. I'd be one of the 2 people that left.
Okay, but this time you went to see the film Brightburn.
I did, yes.
And Brightburn, I think it can be summarized. It can be summarized with the sentence, "What if Superman was evil?"
Ooh.
Yes. What if someone with superpowers decided they were not going to be a particularly nice person, and so yeah. So, okay, now
yes.
Sorry, yeah, go on.
I was just going to say from the trailers, what we know is, so if you know the Superman story, Superman crash lands in Kansas on a farm, and there's a childless couple who find this baby who's crash landed and take him and raise him as a human being, and that's pretty much the story of Brightburn. Guy crash lands on a farm, childless couple take him in, raise him as a human, but then when he gets his runabout, I think tween or teenage years, all of a sudden his powers start developing. So it hits
puberty.
Yeah, when he starts at puberty, sort of things seem to start to happen. Now, I was wondering about this. I'd heard some the things I had heard weren't particularly positive, so I was thinking, oh, well, we shall see. But I have to say, I can at last rave about a film that I've seen. At last, there's something decent that's out there that's just really, really cool. It's just so cool. It starts off exactly like you say. You've got this, this couple. They're obviously trying to have a baby and that, and then all of a sudden, a meteor lands. They find this little baby and they raise him, and he's okay. And then there's something, he just becomes a little. There's a film called, I think we need to talk about Kevin.
Yes.
Which is where, did you ever see that?
I've seen that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I really think that the lad who plays Brandon is really good, because it's like and the mother loves him. The mother's like, he can sort of tell lies and things, and she's like, going to take it.
He's my boy still. Yeah.
And he does some nasty things, but what's so good about this is there's only one. I can only find one silly bit in it. With the silly bits. The rest of it, there was a bit that was going to happen, and I thought, don't do that. Don't. No, you're not going to go there. You are not going to go there. And then it didn't. And I was like, yes, at last, something that, do you know what I mean? I thought...
Don't do the stupid choice.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't do the stupid choice, because there's this bit that happens early in the film, and I was thinking, no, don't. There's a sort of... Because obviously they have, like superheroes have weaknesses, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and this obvious thing that is like happens on fairly early in the film, and I'm thinking, wow, if that's how it's going to go, I'm going to go to town on this movie. So I thought, that is just like, that's going to spoil the whole thing. But it doesn't. So it works out really good. I'm like, oh yes, man, at last.
Sean, I'm getting visions of you punching the air in the cinema and everybody going, what's that?
Well, I'm punching the air here, so yeah, I'm not sure if I did or not. But, and also there's some effects in this. We're talking about effects. And there's some really, really good old 80s horror style, maybe 70s horror style effects in this, with some nasty things happening, which is quite gruesome, shall we say. There's some gruesome, really, really gruesome bits in it.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of like those horror that would appeal to those old horror aspects of films, which is pretty cool. And I love obviously they've got a moniker, like Superman has his little triangle, doesn't he? And Batman has his bat. Well, this guy, he comes up with a which I think is quite a good little moniker, which use, and it's, so, and when it's when it's like, oh no, they decide, there's something, I've got to try and do something a bit here. We got to try and he wants to try something out, so let's take him and try and get rid of him, and that obviously doesn't work. So yeah, I have to say that this. I was expecting really bad reviews, and I've actually, this is one of the things, I know I don't normally look at reviews, but I did look at reviews for this, and the critics don't like it, but the fans really, really like it, and there's some, I think we're just looking at a few here, and people who've watched the movie have said they've really, really enjoyed it. So I think, I think there's some
okay, all right.
So some great moments in this film. There's some really, really, and it's pretty gruesome too.
Yeah.
Old school effects. Not well, at least I don't think they're CGI. I think they're more the old, like the
practical effects.
Physical.
Yeah,
effects,
practical effects. Yeah, that's the word. So yeah. I have to say that it's it was. I really, really enjoyed it. Really, really thought this was a great film.
So how many stars would you give it?
I'm only going to give it a 4.
All right.
Right. As much as I enjoyed it, I'm only going to give it a 4 because there was one moment which I thought, I'm not sure if that's how it would have gone, but it needed to go that way because for some of the effects to happen. But I would say that it's a really, really. I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I shall go and watch it again when it's released next week. So I definitely want to see this again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Well, you want to watch this, Sharon? Because we can go again next week if you like.
Yeah, I have
I think it's out on the 19th.
It looks intriguing.
Yeah.
It looks intriguing to say. Yeah.
Well,
there's definitely possibilities there.
Yeah. What about you,
also
Tosin? Does it look like it might be yours?
Oh yeah, once somebody said, "What if Superman was evil?" I was like, "Okay, cool, I'm there."
Yeah. What's quite good as well is, I think the ending's really good as well. But so how it's like, but I'm not going to give any spoilers here. But I just think it's a clever ending. He's obviously highly intelligent as well as having powers. He's obviously worked things out. So, and it's it's good stuff. Good stuff.
What if Kevin from If We Had to Talk About Kevin had Superman's powers?
Yeah,
that's scary.
That is scary.
That's a scary thought already. Well, I just remember once you mentioned the ending. I remember the film I need to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it next week. There's a Netflix movie called See You Yesterday. But if
yeah,
I'll talk about it next week. But all I say is that if you can, watch that film. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed See You Yesterday. Anyway, now we go back to Netflix, or Netflix and Friends, as we say. So we're talking about things that you could watch at home without having to go to the cinema. And Sharon, you saw Chernobyl, which I believe is a Sky Atlantic thing, which is Sky's riposte to Netflix.
Yes, that's right. I think you can get it on various sort of. I think it'll be available on Now TV soon, because they often tend to get the Sky.
Yeah, Now TV is pretty much Sky.
Yeah. So it's Chernobyl. It was co-produced by Sky and HBO. Ooh. And basically it is I'm just trying to think if it's 5 or 6 parts. I think it's... Oh, not that it really matters.
I've heard everybody has said this is like really, really good. Like everybody has said to me. Is it good? Is it good?
It is good.
I mean...
yeah, it's 5 episodes. Basically, it looks at... a subject you think there's not much drama because we know exactly what happened. And then as the story unfolds, you realise how little information did come out to the West about the whole Chernobyl thing. But basically it starts on the night of the disaster.
Yep.
And then it works backwards and forwards. So it works forwards in that they're trying to work out what happened. And then at the end you see the sequence of events that actually led to the disaster. But it looks at Chernobyl. You start off, these people are just going about their business in the town that's like basically a couple of miles away, Pripyat, I think it's called. And they're just going about their business. And then the people are one of the first lines in the film is like, "What did you do?" And then chaos ensues. And so it's the unravelling of the story from people who either were dead or dying.
Yep.
And some people who did not want to tell the truth about it because they didn't want to be the ones to carry the can for a nuclear disaster. But there's real drama in it. You see the drama unfolds through the eyes of a chap called Valery Legasov, played by Jared Harris. He is basically a scientist, a nuclear scientist, who's been brought in by the Soviet Bureau.
Yep.
Gorbachev, who was the leader of the Soviet Union at the time, says, "Right, I want you to go there and find out what's happened and sort it out," basically. And then another Boris Shabina, played by Stellan Skarsgård, who's basically like the military
He's your
child.
boy, isn't he, Sharon?
He's
your boy.
I like Stellan Skarsgård. Yeah.
Like Stellan. That's
You got to think for that whole family. You got to think for our
the whole family. The whole family works, yeah. And he basically plays like an army guy who has been sent in there to sort it out, the logistics of how you stop a nuclear power station from melting down completely.
Yeah.
And as you see the drama unfold, you see how close it came to basically a total catastrophe. They were within 72 hours of a total nuclear meltdown. And it was only prevented by basically people sacrificing themselves by turning off valves or going in there manually closing down certain things, because none of the mechanisms worked. They'd all either burnt out or melted or something had gone wrong. And so these people had to go in there and turn valves off by hand to get down. But it was within...
Like K9, the Widowmaker, huh?
Yes, but it was within 72 hours of actually causing a complete nuclear meltdown. And they estimated that had it gone to its ultimate... had melted down, then they believe there could have been the fatalities of up to 70 million people in Europe would have been affected directly because of the prevailing winds. It would have made the Ukraine and the Crimea basically a nuclear wasteland. It would have made most of Russia irradiated to the point of being unable to live in vast areas of it. And then the nuclear cloud, we saw that it did pass over Germany and the Low Countries and into Britain, and they said it would have been disastrous for nearly all of Europe.
When they say a meltdown, do you reckon that's like a big explosion, or would it have been
well, no, this is basically what they're saying is what happened is they were running a test at Chernobyl, and you basically the test is to slow the reactor down and then start it up again. And they have a backup system that when it gets below a certain output, then it should trigger an automatic response that should start it up again, so it never actually completely shuts down. And then by doing this procedure, there's an inbuilt flaw in all of this type of nuclear power station across the Soviet Union, that in these circumstances, the same thing would have happened at any one of these these nuclear power plants,
So-
but it had a built-in floor.
So with this, I mean, obviously, once you hear the word Chernobyl has just been. I mean, I knew what the word Chernobyl stood for before I even realized it was a place. Before I realized what country
Yes.
was in. I mean, I remember, and so once you have a drama called Chernobyl, so you just know it's going to be pretty much a dramatization of what happened then. I mean, that's what I think.
Yes.
And I've been going through a period where I don't particularly want to watch things that are reliving disasters or I just feel like I don't want to watch those things. So I look at them and go, no, that might be good, but I'm not so sure I want to watch it. But it sounds like you're saying that it's actually quite an informative, quite a good sort of drama that they've managed to mine
It's
out
a
of this.
powerful. Yeah, they've made a real powerful drama, especially as you see it through the protagonist. And there's an extra protagonist in the form of Emily Watson, who plays a scientist called Ulana Komniak. I think that's probably not how you pronounce it at all. And she basically is a composite of all the scientists who helped out in the sort of solving the Chernobyl problem.
Yeah.
And she's basically, they personified her as this one character, when basically she's a composite of about 30 different people who had a role to play. Who basically, a lot of these scientists who work in other power stations or doing other jobs, worked out what had caused this problem when the rest of the country, or the Soviet Bureau, had a vested interest in not basically telling the truth. They did not want the truth of what was going on to get out either to other power stations, saying, look, if you do this, then this will happen. Because they're saying if you ran this test at other nuclear power stations, the same thing would happen. And they didn't want that to be let out. No. And in fact, the news about this had come out about 10 years before, but it had been suppressed. So people knew that there was potential for this disaster, but they'd suppressed it, and they'd actually just erased it from all records. And even when they were doing the inquiry, they were given these reports, and pages had been cut out of the report or been redacted, saying that you haven't got rights to access that report. And it's like, hang on a minute, we're investigating a nuclear disaster here. Give us all the information.
Yeah, typical cover-up.
And it shows you. Yeah, and there was just sort of small things like they had like these. They had a different name for them, but equivalent of like a Geiger counter. And this Geiger counter in Chernobyl basically burns out when it gets to 3.9, which is a high rating anyway.
Yeah.
And they said if it hits 3.9, it burns out. And so all of their Geiger counters said, "Oh, look, it's 3.9." So they released that's the top level of radiation.
Right.
And then the army brought in their Geiger counters, and they burnt out at 300. And they were saying, well, actually, it's gone to 300, but then it's not got any higher because all of their tools burnt out. And it's only when they actually did a later analysis that they believe it got to something like 15,000.
Whoa.
Okay.
But for all along, everyone was saying, no, it's 3.9. It's 3. They would not accept any other figure because that was the first figure they had. But then the scientists were saying, actually, this is the equivalent of Hiroshima going off every hour, on the hour, constantly. Whoa. This is the amount of radiation that's been pumped out, and they couldn't stop that fire or stop the radiation for something like 3 or 4 weeks. So it's the equivalent of pumping out Hiroshima every hour on the hour for weeks before it was actually capped properly.
Okay.
And they so it's shocking, but it's gripping drama.
All right, yeah. I feel almost dumb even asking you. So, did you like it?
I thought it was amazing. I must admit, I thought it was really good. I thought that everyone acted their part really well, even the people who were ghastly. And some of the people you're thinking, surely that person can't have been that horrible. And then you see footage of them and you think, actually they were.
Cool. Oh, is it one of those ones where it goes...
At the end you see a bit of footage of the real people.
Oh, right, okay. I like that.
But a lot of it has been redacted, so even now a lot of them, they're saying that with, current Russia being what it is now, they're still not giving out any secrets.
Bit like China.
Yeah, they're
mind you, I'm sure some of our Western governments are the same.
I think we all do the same.
They don't want us to know stuff.
So you don't want to demonise the people who are involved, but you think some of them you're thinking, why did you do that?
So
because it's like, it's gripping drama, and it's heartbreaking, and it's moving, and it works on as a drama on nearly every level, I think.
So all in all, how many stars would you give it?
So I would. I'm tempted, to give it top marks, but I'll probably I like to. I don't like to sort of flash the top mark card very so often.
No, I don't. That's not me today. I've been a bit. I have done in the past.
It's definitely a
well,
4.
It's definitely a 4.
It's definitely a 4. I mean, I would say it could probably even go up to a 5.
Wow. That's fair enough.
Okay, so I like that, Sharon. You are displaying your inner Craig Revel Horwood.
I don't think you've ever given a 5.
Yeah.
Have you? Have you ever given a 5?
Don't think I have.
No.
Yeah,
I don't
you
think
have.
You ever have.
You did.
Have I?
You did for Avengers Endgame.
Oh.
Yes, because
No,
I thought that I
yeah.
couldn't find anything to. Probably on that basis, the fact that I couldn't find anything really to fault it. I couldn't. You can't
That's
fault
fair,
it
That's fair dues. That's fair dues.
because it had the period right. Everything felt right. The mood felt right. It felt. I went to Bulgaria the year after communism, and to me it felt like a communist state when you
Still,
walk in those rooms, because that's basically how they were living when I went to Bulgaria. It was still communism. Basically, was like this shroud over everything. And when you go into these flats, you see how people are living. I'm thinking, I was in that flat in Bulgaria, so I know. So I felt it was just right. So, I'm going to go. I'm going to go for the 5.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to go for 5 on this one.
Okay, cool,
Wow.
cool. I think I talked you into it. Okay. All right, cool. So a 5. Right. So we get to the end of the show, and all that's left to say is who won. And seeing as we only had 2 rounds this week, I think
It's just like a square. But
yeah. I think it's kind of obvious who's won this week, and it is Netflix and Friends.
Yay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because I guess technically,
Chernobyl did it.
what?
Yeah, go on.
What are you going to say?
Technically, what?
I was
No, I just said that.
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl did it, yeah.
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl did
Finished
it.
the deal.
Before that, it was going to be close. If you'd given Chernobyl a 4, it would have been like a 0.25 point of a point.
Oh, quite
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, so
That's okay. That's cool.
yeah. Well, I think technically, I guess we should call this podcast Netflix and Friends versus Cinema. But quite frankly, Netflix and Cinema is snappier. It's snappier. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Fewer words.
yeah,
Fewer words is sometimes
fewer
good.
words. People get what we're talking about. People get what it's all about. And Netflix is still the daddy. It's still the sort of like front runner
Yeah.
out of all of them.
Definitely, yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Well, what's good is they do their. I mean, I know a lot of them do their own.
They do their
productions,
original
don't they?
productions, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They've all started doing it, but Netflix got there first. Right. And with that, all that's left to say is goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
We will see you next week when I should be talking about See You Yesterday. I've got to remember that. See You Yesterday. Awesome
Oh.
film.
All right. Okay. That's one to remember.
All right, cool. Chat to you guys later.
Okay,
Bye now.
bye.
Bye.